Thank you, Reina. Thank you very much to the program directors for joining us today and giving very valuable insights in the program. And thank you to you as well for being here. You're very busy, of course. You have, as Reina said, a lot of options to do on a day like this. And we really, truly appreciate that you're here today with us. All of us together will do our very best to give you a true glimpse inside the ESADE kitchen today. I have the pleasure now to actually introduce my colleagues, because Reina showed this beautiful little movie of people dancing on the hills. We're obviously not dancing on our own. We have a lot of people who join us in the dance. Some have just left, or the program directors, they are with us. They are an integral part of the whole organization. But let me quickly introduce my colleagues. We have a number of people involved here. The people who are maybe the ones who dance first, or really the initiators of it all, are both called Cristina Sassot and Cristina Olavarria. They are our two managers. They head up the strategy of this department. And then we have a lot of people involved in the actual admissions process. So my name is Jeroen. As you can imagine from accents, the looks, etc., I'm not Spanish either. We are indeed an organization. We have people from all over the world. Myself, I'm originally from the Netherlands, and I have the pleasure to be recruiting people in the United States and Canada. And you see to my right, you see Gisela Moreno. She's at the back. She's helping us today to make sure that the people who follow us from around the world, thank you as well for joining us, that can follow us. And Gisela helps both myself and my colleague Alba, who is in charge of Latin America, Spain and Portugal. Alba is right there in the corner. So Gisela is one of the officers who helps with that process. And you see also Astrid and Arantxa. The officers, how can I describe officers? I would say they are, in a way, the oil of the engine. Without the officers, we would come to a grinding halt. We would immediately have to call roadside assistance because we wouldn't be able to move. Yeah? So they are really the bread and butter of what we do. So most of you will have been in touch with the officers during your process. Yeah? So we have our colleague Kemal Uzun, who is from Turkey, who is responsible for the Middle East and Africa. Then we have Reina. You had the pleasure to meet Reina this morning. She's in charge of South Asia. Yeah? So welcome to my colleagues, but the team goes on. We have financial aid, there at the back. I would describe those ladies as VIPs. They have their hand on the wallet. You want to be nice to them, yeah? They are in charge of financial aid, loans, scholarships, and sooner or later, whether you like it or not, you'll be in touch with them. So treat them very well. VIPs, Esther and Leila, thank you for joining. Then we have Javier Catalan. Javier is really the man behind the scenes. He's sitting right there. He's our events manager. He basically makes sure this all works. And there's a lot of organization that goes into an event like this. So also thank you, Javier. And Maria is also one of the officers who helps us out with admissions. Then we have Mary Granger, and it's been about a month ago since I last saw her, because you were in Asia still yesterday, or I don't know when you came back. Wednesday afternoon. Mary is responsible for Asia, for both admissions as well as career services. So Mary is really, I would say, an institution within ESADE. You'll find it out when you join ESADE. You'll see Mary all over the place. And Mary has been at ESADE for how many years? 12? 15, there you go. So welcome on board today. Also with Mary we have Nuria helping Mary with many things. Then we have a few more very important people. Yeah? We have, of course, our colleague Mark, yeah? Eastern Europe, Italy, Scandinavia. I'm sure some of you have had the pleasure to meet Mark on the road. Then we have Nuria again supporting Mark as well. We have Catherine Liesenberg with, I would say, the exotic combination of blending Germany and Colombia in one person. Yeah, so that's Catherine, best of both worlds. She's responsible for Germany and Austria. And being supported by, of course, where she is, Marta, where is Marta? She's not here, but Marta, yeah, okay. Yeah, I thought she was silently Marta. And then, of course, last but not least, a key colleague here, Albert Diaz, who is responsible for several European countries, quite a lot of European countries, and as Mark Villanova was saying, a lot of our management programs still have a little bit of that European flavor. So I'm sure many of you have been in touch with Mark, of course, and Albert, as well as Marta. Good, so that is something that is important, our team. Without the team, it wouldn't be possible. It is absolutely a team effort. Yesterday night, when I was, thinking a little bit about this presentation, I realized, we do a lot of travel around the world, yeah, to meet with you, to talk to candidates, because a business school can only be as good as the candidates, as the students you have in the room. That's also what just Albert was referring to. You study with people from around the world with different insights, so that itself lifts the whole experience to a new level. So I was thinking, like, how many actual interview days or fairs have we done until today, May 6th, since the start of the recruiting season? So I literally opened our Outlook calendar and I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 297. 297 interview days and or fairs we've done until now. I think this is a very relevant detail because obviously at an interview day or a fair you don't just meet one person, you meet a lot of people. So without sounding arrogant, we have a lot of people looking at ESADE. Yeah? So it is, in a way, very, very competitive to be admitted. In all fairness, in all modesty, if we make an offer, some people accept the offer, some don't. That's the name of the game. But if you're admitted, you can be truly proud of yourself. I think we have a few people who actually already hold an admissions offer. Can I see hands of those who have been admitted? Congratulations. Can we give a well round of applause for those young men? Welcome. The ball is in your court, so to speak. You're in the luxurious position that you can, in a way, sit back, relax, see what we have to say, and decide if you want to join us. Yeah? Some who are still in the admissions process have a little bit of that anxiety to go to. Yeah? So, wrapping up, a very international team, traveling around the world to meet top talent. Top talent, I actually want to talk a little bit about you, because you, at the end of the day, are why we are here. And Reina started with this question, actually. Why are you here today? And, I was very pleased to hear, of course, you spoke about you, about the experience, about connecting with your values. And we spoke a lot about the future as well. If you see there, inspiring futures, actually all over ESADE you come across this slogan on our websites, in our brochures. Inspiring futures. I think that's a very, very important concept. So, inspiring futures, yeah? The future. I told you I'm responsible for the US, so when I was on the interstate, I saw this sign, I said, hey, this is interesting, let's take this exit for a moment, yeah? The future. And what I would like to do now, because this I think is so important, but sometimes we forget about it. We get bogged down in the details, and I would like to bring you back to the origins. Why are you here? It's about you. Reina mentioned it's about your values. Try to find out really what is it that I want to do. Yeah? Mary, who's responsible for the Far East, she always has these beautiful quotes also from people like Confucius. And Confucius said, if you love what you do, you haven't worked a day in your life. Now Confucius, correct me if I'm wrong, was born in 551 before Christ. So what he was saying actually goes quite a way back. Yeah? But I think it's still very, very valid today. So what I would like you to do, let's take just a second before we go back into the presentation. Let's take together this interstate exit here. Yeah? Please, all close your eyes. Honestly, this is not a joke. Close your eyes and think with me, what would make me happy? What is an inspiring future for me? What would I like to do? Yeah? Think about that. And please hold that thought for this presentation and for the rest of the day, okay? Thank you. You can open your eyes, otherwise you might fall asleep with my presentation. So actually, is there somebody who would like to share, we heard before your love for the automotive industry, is somebody who would like to share with us what will make you happy? What is your dream job? Anybody? Any volunteer? Don't be shy, we're in family. Anybody? Okay, I'll bite off. I'll bite off the dust. And then hopefully somebody shares. Okay. Some years back, when I said, oh, when I grow up, what would I like to be? No, I've always dreamt, this is true, I've always dreamt about working with great colleagues and a great team. I've always dreamt about working in a place where every single day I can meet inspiring and fascinating people. That to me is very important. I really appreciate an international environment. Yeah? And I wanted to live in one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And I'm very happy at ESADE. I've been here for more than a decade. I started on 9th of March 2003. I still remember. Yeah? I've been here for quite a while. And I absolutely enjoy working here. So that to me, those are some of those values as Reina described it. And I love my job. I love because of the people that you meet. Yeah? So who would like to share what for you is that dream job? Anybody? Nobody? Very shy? Never mind. Please hold on. Mary, would you like to share your dream job?
We have another candidate here applying for a master's. Actually, my dream job is exactly what you just said, but getting to work with Jeroen, because you can't do that, and I can, so I have even a better job.
Thank you so much. I'm getting shy. I'm blushing now. So thank you very much. That's very, very kind. I mean, we've obviously had the pleasure to work together for more than 10 years, because Mary's been here 15. So thank you. Really appreciate it. So coming back to the core message, I would really like you to think about what is relevant for you, because at the end of the day, will help you in your choice. We're a top school, but there's many other top schools, and let's be honest about it. There's a lot of good schools, but what is the best school for you will be linked with what's relevant for you. Where do you feel at home? What would you like to do afterwards? So please keep that in mind when we go through the presentation. It's not a coincidence that we have a program like that. The world is moving into a certain direction. And we want you to be prepared for that, because at the end of the day, your inspiring futures are our brand and our reputation. So things that we see happening in the world, for example, in the future, there will be no markets left waiting to emerge. By 2050, 19 of the 30 largest economies will be in countries that we now call emerging. And that is not me or Harry Potter saying this. This is HSBC. In their global marketing campaign, they talk about this. They talk about those trends. They talk about the future starts here. Be part of it. They also say in the future, education could be your wisest investment. I like that. We work for a business school. Well done. I was pleased to see that. In the future, or actually also even already today, we strongly believe that education is a value that you will never lose. They also say, and I love this one, I absolutely love this one, in the future, South-South trade will be the norm and not the novelty. You have a Chinese warrior of Xi'an wearing Brazilian flip-flops. This is the world that we're moving into. Yeah? International trade is changing. It's not just, let's say, hey, the US investing in Mexico. It still happens, but there's other things. It's Mexico investing in India or the other way around. Yeah? South-South trade, very important. Adding a level of complexity to the world. So again, what Albert was saying, if you study with people from around the world, it better prepares you for a scenario like this. And this one here, in the future, even the smallest business will be multinational. So a master in global strategic management is absolutely vital, as well as other things that we do at ESADE, to prepare you for this global changing world, and again, connecting with your dreams of what you would like to do. So after this sort of introduction, I would now like to dive a little bit deeper into why we believe that ESADE could be an excellent partner for you on that journey to the future. And that's why today, you know, we are literally, you've seen this image outside and here on the wall, we are literally, in a way, opening the door a little bit to your future. And that's why I said, think about what you would like to do in the future and keep that in mind during today's presentation. So now, a bit more into detail. Some reasons why we believe choosing ESADE's Masters of Science could be an excellent, you know, companion on your journey. International accreditation and recognition. Those are, you know, generally this is called the Triple Crown, AA, CSB, AMBA, and EQUIS. Those are international accreditation bodies that in a way give sort of a quality stamp. I mean, we can say, hey, we're good, but what do others say about us? So this is not just for ESADE, this is general information. If you're looking at master programs, check, do they have these accreditations? The Triple Crown, we call it, if a school has all three. Reputation. Now, there's many rankings, and you can, you know, I sometimes joke that every school is #1 in something. And in a way that is sometimes true. If you zoom into a lot of details, you can be #1 in certain aspects. But I would like to connect rankings with, again, what is it that you would like to do? And if you believe that it is important to work in an international environment, then maybe you have to give more relevance to, like international students, or #1 for international movement or aims achieved. So my advice for rankings is connect it with what you're interested in doing, and then see the different schools that you have on your shortlist, how do they rank in those kind of categories. Needless to say that ESADE, we are very proud of our rankings, but you have to do a bit of homework yourself here. Remind you, in the future all businesses will be multinational. So having the opportunity, oops, sorry, I go too fast, the opportunity to actually live for about a week, 10 days, one of our study tours abroad is a really interesting opportunity to lift your international experience to another level. You'll be studying here with roughly, as we said, 75–85% of our students are international, as we may call it, because what's the definition of international? But we have people, let's say, from all over the world. In addition to that, you have the opportunity to make an international study tour, which is something that is highly valued by our students. If you allow me just a sip. So the international study tours are very much valued. Another thing is the language training. This is also key, language training. Spanish, who speaks Spanish? Can I see hands? ¿Quién habla español? Okay, Spanish, yeah. Who speaks 3 or more languages? Okay, good, see hands. For me, I would say one of the best decisions I made in my life was to learn Spanish. First of all, I met my beautiful wife, who is Spanish, which is of course a great start, but in addition to that, from a more professional perspective, Spanish opens so many doors. It opens so many doors. Coming back to the United States, which is of course the place where I often travel to for admissions, I'm always amazed by the amount of Spanish you hear in the US. 2 weeks ago I was in New York. Just before I took off from LaGuardia Airport, there was a huge billboard that I saw, about 20 meters long, that says, Delta más vuelos de Nueva York que cualquier otra aerolínea. All in Spanish, like Delta, more flights from New York than any other airline. So the importance of the Spanish, obviously you have the whole of Latin America, of course with Brazil and some other countries with different language, but the continent of Latin America with the Spanish, the United States as the world's powerful economy, where Spanish is an important language. 400 million people have Spanish as their language. Yeah? So the fact that you'll be studying at ESADE, where you'll be based in Spain, where you can study Spanish, and you have Spanish language training on the side. Yeah? So all courses are given in English. But you have the opportunity to learn Spanish, or if you already speak Spanish, you can also learn other languages, right? So the language is very important. There's an estimate that by the year 2050, half the US population, will speak Spanish as first or second language. So think about it again, where do you want to work? What is your goal? And adding Spanish to your language portfolio will absolutely enhance, in that sense, in a way, your market value for future recruiters. Yeah? Class size and personalization. This is also very important. We believe that if we have a relatively small class, we can be much more personalized. So despite the fact that we have a lot of applications, I mean, the difficulty for us is how do we select? How do we create that most exciting class that we're looking for? So you have small groups at ESADE that allow you to be, in that sense, very specialized with your classmates. But at the same time, the small groups, they all build up in a bigger network. So you have the different master programs. Then we have the undergrad, we have the MBA, we have executive MBA, etc., etc. So the network is very big. I have described this in the past as you have a boutique program, but that boutique is located, let's say, in a shopping mall. So you have a bit of best of both worlds. You have your small-scale environment with small groups and personalization, but then at the same time, you have everything that you need at ESADE. Yeah? So even if you're in a Master in Finance and you're interested in entrepreneurship, join those events that Professor Brinkman was just telling about startups. It's making proactive use of that network, very important. Good, we move on. Career prospects. This is such an important component that actually this afternoon we have a special session about careers, because if there's one area where we can actually help you getting closer to your professional goals, it's of course through careers. If I ask you a question, what do you think, if we look at career services, what is the most important thing that would be required from your end if we talk about career services? Who has the answer? Who thinks he has the answer? Yes, please. Partnership with companies? Yes, good. It would be a good answer, but I'm looking for a particular word. What would we require from you if we talk about career services?
Well, suppose, hiring, right?
Oh,
Somebody's
career
hired.
service hiring, but I mean, what are you're probably not going to hire, not during the master. Maybe if you're already an entrepreneur, you hire people, but you may do it in the
being
future.
hired.
Oh, sorry, being hired. Yes, that's getting a job. Yes, but is what I'm referring to? What is it that you have to do? You have to be hired. Yes, but what in order to be hired? And sorry for the confusion. In order to be hired, what would you have to do? I see somebody else.
I'm not sure about the question though now.
No, not sure about the question.
I thought about guidance.
Okay, maybe I'm getting you in a labyrinth. What I'm trying to say is, and this is important because now you'll remember, you have to be proactive. Yeah, if you talk about career services, you have to be proactive because there are so many opportunities, but you have to make use of them. And in order to give you a visual description, so hopefully you will remember, think about two concepts here. Think about the gym and the hairdresser. If you go to the hairdresser, you can walk in and you say, hey, good morning, I'd like to look like James Dean, please. And you sit down, you close your eyes, and they do the job for you. Yeah? That's not how career service works. Career service is much more like the gym. You walk in, you say, good morning, I'd like to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And they said, okay, let's get working. Yeah? So this is what career service is. It's in a way a sort of a platform, a gym, where you can train, work out, get ready for that career. So we do a lot of different things together with career service. There's mock interviews, there's training sessions. They bring a lot of companies on campus because absolutely right, Leopold, you want to be hired. So we bring those companies on campus. But we can maybe open the door a little bit. But if you don't walk through that door, nothing will happen. So that proactivity is indeed very important. Yeah. Then we have here a couple of statistics. I don't want to dive into too many details because A, you won't remember them, and B, we have a lot of statistics to share. But one number that I think is very relevant is 94% of our students, they were employed just 3 months after graduation. Yeah? And I also get a lot of questions, like in the US, they say, hey, you're Spain, Spanish school, aren't you guys in crisis? I mean, you have God knows how many people unemployed. And then I get proud. I said, hey, but oh, listen, you know, ESADE, we have, boom, 94% people in employment because it's international, people very well prepared, and guess what? You've all been very proactive. So you've all worked very hard to get to those results, yeah? Good. One thing as well, you know, there's a lot of statistics about salaries and things. No matter how much we love Spain, we all do, sometimes you earn a little bit less. Yeah, but you know, hey, you can't have everything in life, yeah? But it's true that it's one of the downsides, and that's the reason why a lot of people actually move on to other countries. Although they would have liked to stay in Spain, they say, well, I have this student loan to pay back, so let's first work a few years in Amsterdam, not a bad place either, or any other city where sometimes, according to the statistics as well, you can maybe earn a little bit more money. Good. So career prospects. Again, some statistics, won't go into too much detail. Key takeaway of this slide is that we place people across different sectors. So there's always different opportunities available depending on how you network, with whom you get in touch. Yeah? Key areas are consulting, manufacturing, that is important. Yeah? Good. Professional internships. This is also important. This is really one of those, I would say, key ingredients of that so-called gym. This is where you can really get your hands into a company. Okay, multicultural environment. I want to jump back to the fact that in the future, even the smallest business will be multinational. So if you study with people from around the world, it can lift your experience to a whole new level. And then in addition to the actual knowledge of the master's programs, we also do a lot of what we call management skills development, seminars and training sessions. Because one thing is to have a lot of financial knowledge, for example. But if you do not know how to put up a good show in a way in front of a recruiter, you may be the brightest finance person, but you need to be able to present yourself. So those are things, let's say secondary activities that are very important as well from a careers perspective that we also have. And then flexibility. We have a flexible program that allows you to really adapt the program to your needs, because we believe that the more adaptable we can make your program, almost like a tailor-made suit, if it fits, it's better. That's what we do with the program. A lot of flexibility involved in terms of electives, your final choice, master project, internship, etc. So mind you, that is important. You can tailor the program to your needs. Okay, this is maybe a good moment to have a short break from my voice and to listen to a quick video. It's about 2 minutes It's a video actually from the, I'll get it. It's a video from the Ayuntamiento Barcelona City Hall, because we are absolutely proud to be in this city, and it helps us to propel business to the next level, what we call inspiring futures.
Time. How do we measure time? We can measure it in days, years, or centuries. Also by the chimes of a clock, or a reflection in a mirror. Photographs, or by what wasn't there before but suddenly is. But here in Barcelona, we think time is measured in a different way. By deeds, by achievements, by the ability to imagine 1,000 possibilities within a single possibility. The measure of time for us is the amount of effort, the volume of ideas, the weight of talent. This is why Barcelona has in fact become a hub not only for research and technology, but also for spontaneity and fun. A place to inspire the talent of people from a host of countries who come together here to share innovation and at the same time, happiness. How long did one of Gaudi's days last? How many years fit into one of Miro's years? Here we don't measure time with a clock, but through every project that is born, through every challenge that arises, and through every new idea that inspires us. Achieving prodigious things, as Dali put it, depends on changing the numbers on the clock for each of our passions. The hands for effort, the chimes for talent. This is how time is made to give way to life, to happiness, to give way to the future. This is our secret, the secret of Barcelona. Barcelona inspires.
Of course, a city with a lot of stories to be told, great student life. Sant Cugat itself, stone's thrown away from Barcelona, is also actually a beautiful town. I hope you have time to explore. Most of our students actually live in Barcelona and commute out, but those might be more practical things that I think are good to discuss when this afternoon we have actually a student panel lined up, so you can ask about all, you know, the more practical and as well very important things as well related to actually living and studying in this amazing city. So now let's dive in the actual MSc programs itself. I will be going pretty quickly through these slides because most of that information, all of that information is of course on the web. I'm very sure that if you're interested in one of the particular programs that you've actually scrutinized that web already so that you know most of these things, but just to sort of set the tone and prepare you for the rest of the day where we won't go into maybe less detail for the programs, we have a quick bird's eye overview of the programs, yeah? So obviously, as was discussed this morning, very happy to have the program directors around. We have the different programs of international management, marketing, finance, innovation, entrepreneurship, and the global strategic management, plus the SEMS as well. Now, 1 year or 2 years, depending on if you combine it with SEMS or a double degree. This is, I think, a very important graph, because this shows you the 4 MSCs in one structure, and this comes back to that flexibility that I tried to explain before, because you have the option to either specialize, as was explained, for example, by ESA when they talk about the functional, the cluster specialization. So within one of the individual master programs, you can specialize. Same goes for finance, same goes for innovation, entrepreneurship. But within the overall structure, you also have the opportunity in a way to zoom out. Yeah? So if you're doing, let's say, the master in finance, but you're interested in entrepreneurship, you can also take electives from the entrepreneurship program and vice versa. Yeah? So you have the advantage of the structure of those 4 programs, and in your electives you're not confined to limit your choice to your master program. Yeah? So that gives you a lot of flexibility. Also the fact that at the final stage you either choose an in-company project, an internship, or a business plan. So that's another way of choice that you have, and then the study tours and skills seminars. So throughout the program we built in, let's say, building blocks for you to customize the program. And again, please think again of your dream job, because the choices you make during this structure, my advice is always connected with what makes you happy to do, and that's how you could try to construct your particular master. And then you can combine it with SEMS, that's something you apply for during the admissions process, or with a double degree, internal or external, that's what you apply for actually during the programs here. A little bit of details here about the class structure, very mixed, proud to see a large variety of countries, of course. What I find amazing is if you look at the list of countries, there may be even countries that, for example, if I look at the list, some of those countries, I might not even know, let's say, the flag of that country. Imagine if you don't even know the flag. How much can you learn from somebody who grew up in that country, who studied there, who worked there? So the learning experience, and I say the word experience on purpose because it's really brought to the next level with people from around the world in Barcelona. Languages spoken, we've seen before that also already in this room we have a lot of different languages. And then, you know, the average Gmat scores, internships, etc. So it gives you a bird's eye overview of the class. International management, just a quick couple of details. Obviously, you know, Mark Villanova gave some insights. You have some of the courses here. I think I won't go reading them all out. I would say international is very important. It prepares yourself. Think back of those images of the HSBC campaign. It prepares you to be successful in a world like that. Yeah. Recent graduates wishing to join in all areas of management. I think that's important. So if you don't know yet, am I a marketing person? Am I a finance person? Then maybe the Master in International Management gives you a little bit of that, you know, extra wideness, extra scope. In a way, it's like an MBA, but for people without that work experience. So that's how you can maybe best describe this program. Marketing management, obviously more detailed, focusing on marketing. Interesting to share here is that duality that you can either focus, zoom in, or keep it more general, or as Isa very nicely explained, you can also make a combination of different factors. So this is just interesting to highlight. I'm sure you've seen this before, the brand and communication, sales, research and consulting as functional specializations, and the clusters. It's not a coincidence that we have sports, fashion, e-commerce and technology, because all those sectors are very strong in Barcelona. And then the profession in action is something very interesting. That's where you actually, in a way, shadow a company. You visit about 10, 15 companies during a week, specifically focused on that particular functional area. So that's very interesting to get to see how companies really work in your interesting area. This gives you an overview of the fact that if you choose one of those specializations, you have to link that with your core, your study tours, etc. Yeah, so I think it's a bit too detailed to really dive into it one by one, but important for you to remember here is if you make that specialization, you of course choose accordingly with your core courses, electives, and your related project. Good. So this is another overview on how the actual clusters concentration, how that works with your choices linked to that. But this is something that, of course, with the program management, once you're here, if your program starts, you get plenty of information to guide you, to help you how to make the best choice to adapt the program to your needs. Finance, particularly proud of this program to see that we're ranked #2 in the world for this program, which helps us, you know, of course, I would say admissions have always been very, very, very booming, but I have to be honest, we are now #2 for a few years, and that has actually even given another additional push in the number of applications. So usually the finance master, combined with, you know, the SEMS, which is also very popular. Every master is popular, but those will be SEMS and finance, usually the programs that we sort of hit waitlist status the earliest in the recruiting season. Finance, very nice to see that you have the option to actually, that comes in the next slide, but you can optionally specialize more in the banking side or more in the corporate side of finance. And some additional plus points of this program is that it's a partnership with CFA. So actually, if you're interested in taking the CFA test, a lot of the material in a way will be covered in the master program. So it gives you a very, very good training ground for that certification. And then you can also do the Bloomberg aptitude test right here on campus. And this is what I mentioned, those are the tracks, the sort of the specializations that we have in this program, which you see outlined here, starting with more general core courses, and then you either go in one direction or another, or you stay more general within finance and you have a combination of the different tracks. So that's also always possible. Innovation and entrepreneurship. I was very pleased to listen to Jan Brinkman that he said, of course, very well asked by Catherine, because there is indeed quite a bit of confusion sometimes that this program is just for entrepreneurs, and nothing wrong with just for entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs rule the world in many ways. But this program goes beyond entrepreneurship. It's about that innovation, intrapreneurship. As Jan said, it's about focusing on those companies that are really doing well, those disruptive technologies. We all use them. We all use, you know, Uber or Facebook, but to see what's behind companies like that, that's the real strength and power of this master program. Yeah. Interesting as well, we have the e-garage, something that you will undoubtedly see later today in our campus tour. The e-garage or the e-works is really a physical space that is designed actually by students from our Master in Innovation program. And I'm looking at my colleague Kamal, who is actually an alum. He did this program, and it was his class who actually designed that space. It was one of the assignments. ESADE said, hey, we would like to design a space so that you, your future colleagues, can work in a comfortable and entrepreneurial way. So there was sort of a, you know, a case, and people, they designed that space. Yeah? So this is something that you will certainly see. And of course the Creapolis, we haven't touched about yet, but here on this campus, we have the Creapolis Business Park, where we currently have more than 70 companies that are present here. So that allows for a lot of interaction and a lot of those, you know, events that Jan was aiming at. That, hey, we were doing all kinds of get-togethers, we have these business angels, etc. That is often linked with Creapolis as such. Also here you can see the 3 specializations tracks that you have within innovation management. So to summarize, either zooming in and make it more specific to your goals, to your dream job, or staying a bit more general. They have the different options. Yeah? Then you also have the opportunity to do a very exciting project with Aalto in Finland. It's a top university for innovation. We work together with them, mixed teams, people from Aalto, people from ESADE, and you work on real companies where you spend some time in Finland, and you have part of that project here as well. So again, another level of internationality that is added. Global strategic management. I thought the question was very, very good about, you know, how does this work for people? And it is really, this program was designed not by a coincidence. This was designed putting some strategic minds together from top universities and saying, hey, where does the world move to? Coming back to that glass ball, we cannot predict the future, but we do know certain trends. And that globalization, that intertwined connection of economies allows for people that can be geographically mobile, that understand those different realities. So this is something why the global strategic management came into organization. I don't know if anyone had a chance to visit some of those companies, universities, sorry, the campus of McIntyre, of University of Virginia, McIntyre Business School in Charlottesville, Virginia, beautiful campus. It's about 2 hours by car from Washington, D.C., so for you just to give south, to give you an idea. Lingnan, Guangzhou, and of course ESADE here in Barcelona. And as was explained, you actually live some time on each location with your cohort. And I would say what I would highlight if they ask me what's the real strength of this program, it's the fact that it's a joint force. We join forces with other top schools, and it's you have access to 3 networks from alumni. You get to work with 3 career service departments. And because it is new, ourselves, as well as our colleagues in the US and China, we really see this in a way as a flagship program. So it's something that's very much on our radar, on our agenda. So that's something, if you're interested in a truly global career, something to keep a close eye on this program. Yeah, so this is basically what I explained. It was discussed in the morning as well. You have a double degree and a certificate, and 3 alumni networks is what I just mentioned. Good. SEMS, I'm sure that a lot of you are familiar with the SEMS structure. That would be an additional, in a way, capstone year on top of any of your master programs at ESADE. Very popular trajectory. And what happens if you have, let's say, 4 lanes in a motorway, and the 3 lanes are closed, all cars have to move to 1 lane, you get a bit of a traffic jam, right? That's common. It happens all over the world. It happens with SEMS as well, because you have people, let's say, in all 4 lanes of the different programs, because with the global strategic you cannot combine it with SEMS, but with the other master programs we have, you can combine with SEMS. And if a lot of those people want to go into the SEMS, you get a bit of a traffic jam. So that's what I mentioned before, that it's the program that would actually hit the waitlist status the soonest every single academic cycle. SEMS, coming back to maybe the question that Albert Einstein did the same question 10 years later. The answers have changed. That's why, you know, even if you have already a master in management, you do a SEMS on top, what's the additional value? Also very well explained by Albert. It's the people that you discuss it with. It's the way a case is being looked at. So that is the true additional value of SEMS, because you do not only study at ESADE. Term 1, as you can see, would be in ESADE of your second year, the SEMS year. Then you go to one of our partner schools, and it also allows you to do an additional extra internship. So SEMS is really seen, if I may call it like that, it's crème de la crème. That's how a lot of the recruiters as well see this program, and it's definitely a flagship program. Not just because of ESADE, but because we have the partners, of course, for top business schools from around the world. Okay, we're almost done with the presentation. A couple of points I want to highlight is admissions. Yeah, this is, I guess, for most of you already a quite known territory, because I'm sure you've had a chance to speak to my colleagues. I don't see any of my guests from the US and Canada here. I know some of them will be following maybe a little bit later, because it's still pretty early in the Americas, but they will joining us later today. But of course today most of you, of our guests, are from a little closer by from Europe. So I guess my colleagues Catherine, Albert, Mark, I'm sure you've had a chance to discuss some of those topics with them on the road. One thing I would highlight, you do not necessarily have to have a business degree or finance degree to study at ESADE, because we have the business immersion program, which is designed for people with a different academic background, so that they can still join the master program, but you have to, like that gym, you have to do a little bit of extra workout before the regular gym begins. So that's what you do, partly online, partly presential, prior to the start of the programs. A good Gmat or GRE score is always a question. What is a good GRE or Gmat score? You know, we have our averages of 650 and then 670 for finance, so that is usually taken as a bit of a guideline. But it is not necessarily like if your Gmat is a little, or GRE is a little below those figures, that you're immediately out. We look at applications at a holistic perspective, and there's always ways to, you know, put some additional weight in the scales in other areas. English proficiency, of course. There's a question? Yeah, please. Preference between Gmat and GRE? Yes, I have heard a question before, so it was easy to fill the dots. We don't. No, it's equally valid. So we, you know, feel free to do the test that is, you know, best in line with your past studying, etc. Yeah. So. Good, so English proficiency, obviously you need to speak English, because all our programs are in English. The only way you can get a waiver is if you've done your undergrad completely in English. Right, yeah, no professional experience is required. That is the main difference between the MSc programs and the MBA. For MBA you do need professional experience, so for whatever reason, if you decide not to pursue a master program now, and you think 3 years later, hey, wait a minute, I'm interested in ESADE, you would basically have moved to an MBA profile, but the structure, the professors, the way we teach is very, very similar. The main difference is that work experience, yes or no, yeah, but just for your idea, because we sometimes have people that start their orientation and search process years before. So just to sort of the tipping line normally is 2 years work experience. Beyond that, you become sort of an MBA profile, very at the younger level of the MBA, and then MBA goes up all the way to 10, 15 years of experience. So this would be the process. You start with the online application. Often, you know, the interviews are conducted, as I mentioned, in our off-campus interview days, the 297 events that I spoke about before. Actually today we have quite a few guests who have their interviews, so an important moment for some of you. And then you'll be discussed always in the admissions committee for the final decision. When to apply, yeah?
I have one more question, because this may also be about the increasing globalized world.
Okay.
When I am, as a German applicant,
Yes.
at the time I could potentially have an interview working in the US. So who is then going to be responsible? Is there like anything that you can say or you want to say about this? Because where am I going to have the interview? This is just interesting to me.
No, absolutely. We are purely organized. It's a good question. Purely organized. Where are people living? So if you're from Greenland, Germany, Luxembourg, or South Africa and you live in the US, I would be conducting your interview, either face-to-face if our agendas match, or via Skype. We prefer face-to-face interviews. It's better for you. It's much easier to explain your strengths face-to-face, but the world is a big place and we can't always be together face-to-face, so then we do Skype interviews. Yeah? So your question is based on where you are living at the time of applying. Yeah. And there have also been some changes in that when you move from one country to the other. Yeah. So coming up to the deadlines, we're basically about to sort of close for the SEMS, as the last deadline for SEMS coming up soon. And then we have one more general round for applications, limited mainly to EU for visa reasons. Because if you're from outside the European Union, you need to have your student visa, and that can take some time to process. So that's why we've basically kept it for EU students. Fees and financing. We're almost there with the presentation, and we can do a quick Q&A, maybe a quick restroom break, and then we'll have the next part of the day, which is the masterclass. But fees and financing is something we just quickly want to touch upon. Interesting, we get a lot of questions about scholarships as well. It's of course, you know, I sometimes say there's two hurdles in this process. One, first hurdle, how to get in, how to be admitted. It's competitive, it's not easy. And then the second hurdle is, okay, I'm in, but now I need to finance it because it's not cheap, it's an investment. So obviously we have some help in terms of scholarships. I encourage people to look at the available scholarships we have. They're listed online. You can see which you think could be a possible fit and you apply for a scholarship. You can just do that via the system. And there's also a good support system in terms of loans. And before I introduce my colleagues from financial aid, they'll be more than happy to help you in how to apply for loans. Yeah? So here are the scholarships mentioned and listed, how that works. And they can cover up to 25 to actually 100%. 100%, that would be some of the case competitions that we have, but they have already finished. So we will, in that sense, it's the scholarships that we still have as options, okay? Good, let me see, yeah, so this is what I said. If you have a loan, you can also apply through the web, and then our colleagues from financial aid, they will guide you through that process. Then almost there's specific geographical loan schemes available for certain countries, and also that knowledge is nicely available with our colleagues from financial aid. So if you think, hey, I live in Colombia, are there any specific scholarships available for Colombians, etc.? And that goes for quite a few countries, so you can, if you don't have those resources yourself to find out, you can check with financial aid. They will be able to help. So that brings me to the questions. As I said, I have been particularly quick in the details in the second part of the presentation because we don't want to give you too much dense information. Obviously, particular questions, you have the team that's always there. The web, what I particularly enjoy about the web is our YouTube video channel, where for the MSc programs you have more than 100 videos about anything that we do here, yeah? And that is, I think, a very informative, very pleasant way to get additional information as well. Thanks for your interest. Thanks for keeping awake during the presentation. And let's see if we can, with the team, answer some of the questions you may have. Yeah, I see a hand right there, yeah?
Thanks, hi. I had a question about the dual degree. I know that for SEMS, like it's closing soon, so we have to apply now. But like for dual degree, can you apply during the the year?
Yes, that's a good question. And the main difference here is that SEMS is, as you correctly mentioned, you have to indicate during the admissions process you want to do SEMS, whereas the double degree is basically opened up when you're here. So then program directors, they will give information sessions and they say, okay, folks, the double degree admissions cycle starts. They usually invite students from those universities to give information. And what we often see is that if people are interested in doing this sort of an extended master with SEMS, and because of that highway that I mentioned, 4 lanes going into one traffic jam, a lot of cars stay without place, then they have a second option in the double degree. So that's for many people an additional way to look at extending the master and getting that additional international experience.
One last thing. The difference between internal and external?
Okay, yeah. Internal, external, also an interesting question. We have obviously 4 different master programs. So what you can do if you say, I can't make up my mind if I want finance or marketing. you can do both. So that would be a double degree. You first start, let's say, with finance, and then you do a double degree internally because it's an ESADE master. You do one of our additional master programs. And the interesting thing here is that basically the cost is very, very reduced. It's about a third of the actual price. So the internal double degree, you do one of our master programs on top of your first master, and obviously the external, as the name explains, is with one of our partner universities.
I just want to clarify one thing. I believe that's true for all of our master except for finance. I believe you would have to start at the beginning. I think there's currently no option that you can do finance later. So if you want to do finance, you have to do it now. You cannot do it finance as another internal double degree.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Any other questions? I think we have about 5 more minutes for
Yeah?
Q&As. Yeah.
Right here.
Would that take 2 years or only 1 year if you do a double
The
degree?
double degree is 2 academic years, yeah? So 1 full additional academic year on top of your core master, yeah.
Gentleman over there.
So you mentioned that you have over 60% of the students who go abroad to work after the master. Where are they actually going, location-wise?
Yeah, okay, thank you for that question. The world is our oyster in that sense.
Especially for finance.
Especially for finance. Okay, well, finance, obviously the main financial hubs in Europe, London first, Frankfurt second, but we also have a lot of people going to the east. Hong Kong and New York is still the world's major financial hub. And actually, I'm very happy to see that Albert has prepared some nice things this afternoon, so you can also see some of those geographic links. So for finance, I would say mainly the global financial hubs, but there's also people that stay in, let's say, secondary hubs. It's always a matter of what are your preferences. The main thing I would like to highlight when we talk about recruiting, and that also explains that we have 94% of people in full-time employment 3 months post-graduation. We're not confined to one single city or geography. I mean, if Dubai is strong, more people will move there. We have very international companies coming to recruit. We have several what we call talent recruitment events that we have companies right here on campus to do seminars, workshops, first round interviews. So we provide a lot of opportunities, again, for that door to be a little bit opened. Yeah? So very international in terms of finance, often a bit more focused on the main financial hubs worldwide. Yeah? That's where the best, obviously the best opportunities are.
I think we just have time for one
final question. Good, yeah.
Last question.
Yes, thank you.
Concerning the admission process, in which part of the process do you look the most or most into?
In terms of like the different things you put into the scale, yeah? Wow, how shall I answer that? I'll answer it by giving you another question. What is the most famous dish that you have in Spain? If I say the most famous dish in food in Spain, what do you think of? Give a shot. Tapas? Fair enough. Another one? Paella. There we go. Paella. Why do I want you to talk about paella? Because paella is precisely a mix of ingredients, right? You have rice, that would be the basis. But just rice doesn't make a paella, yeah? So your academic degree doesn't make a good application alone. You need to add more ingredients, yeah? And I can't really give that exact mix of ingredients because that would be a cook giving the secrets of the kitchen, yeah? So it is a mix. It's a mix of ingredients where we look for a well-rounded balance. If we look where the world is moving, the world is becoming international, more and more. It's already international, but it's moving that direction. So we're looking for people with language skills, international abilities, strong academic background, Gmat or GRE. I mentioned the averages, but I can say that the Dutch, on average, they are the tallest nation in the world. So you always have exceptions to the average, yeah? As you know that as well. So there's not a mathematical formula, yeah? It's give it a shot and get involved. Talk to your responsible recruiter. Where you live, Dominique? Austria. So Catherine Liesenberg is your contact, and try to make an impression. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for joining. Enjoy the rest of the day.